Shalom. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular teaching, brothers and sisters, okay then, the matter of the Lamed-Heh Verb Asah. Now, I just happen to have picked this particular verb, but we want to explain, as we've done in the past, brothers and sisters, a Lamed-Heh verb is any verb in Hebrew that ends with the letter Hey. Okay, so let me type this in the room. A Lamed-Heh verb is any verb that ends with the letter Hey. Okay, so this is something we want to point out for edification purposes, okay? Classifications and movements of verbs. Now, as been explained in the past concerning the Hebrew lessons, all right, there is a thing with the verbs, and that is the most common. I wouldn't want to use the word complex, but it is the majority of the Hebrew lessons, these classes, will be predicated upon the uses of verbs. All right, so this is something, brothers and sisters, that we want to go over and show for edification purposes. All right, so let's go on, brothers and sisters, into, without any further ado, into this next particular slide. Thank you. Shalom, brothers and sisters. In Hebrew, before we continue, we have to address the fact that there are no irregular verbs in Hebrew. Hebrew is our language. Thus, it is not irregular. It is what it is. All right. So this is something we want to show and point out for edification purposes. All right. So now, in this lesson, we will explain what is commonly referred to as irregular verbs, only the Lamed-Heh in this, and show how it operates. Now, I want to emphasize verbally by saying this. We're only going to be dealing in Hebrew and what is referred to as the qual or the kal stem. All right, we generally say it as the word qual. Okay, now the word qual in Hebrew, all right, means easy or light. Okay, so that's something we want to point out in that particular regard. All right, there are, as been pointed out in the past, 7 stems in Hebrew. And what we're dealing with as far as the verb stems, and what we're dealing with, brothers and sisters, is the first stem. And it's going to be, I don't want to use the word lengthy, but it's going to be very detailed from one lesson to the next to the next. All right? So, brothers and sisters, let us continue on in this particular regard. The average verb has a 3-letter root. Examples are bishel, meaning en route to cook, halak, meaning en route to go, etc. So what are we looking at, brothers and sisters? I want to show, all right, with the particular laser pointer, the 3-letter root, beit, shin, lamed, bishel. The word bishel in root, brothers and sisters, means to cook in Hebrew. Then you have here the word halak, the hey, the lamed, and the kaf, or the kaf feet in this regard, meaning to go. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, brothers and sisters, okay, when you're dealing with Hebrew in this particular regard, the verbs, as we are pointing out, in over 98% of the cases, is a 3-letter root. All right, there are very few 4 root letters, but like I said, that's less than like 2% in Hebrew verbs. So we'll deal with that as time goes on. Okay, so let's go on. It says in Hebrew, the verb can be before the pronoun or after. Now the pronouns, as we going over in lesson number 24, ani is I, ata is you, okay? At is you when speaking to a female. Who is he or he is? He is she. Anachnu is we or we are. Atem is you, masculine plural, are. Aten is feminine plural, you all are. And haim is they are masculine. And hain is they are feminine. So that is one set, brothers and sisters, of pronouns. Then you have, brothers and sisters, the other aspect in Hebrew of pronouns. Okay? Such as ot is me, otka is you. Otak is you, feminine. Then you have oto is him. Then you have ota is her. Now, brothers and sisters, when this particular lesson, all right, is uploaded, I can sit there and put as the edit video when I edit the video here and put as a recommendation for one to watch a video on the same channel called Pronouns for Usage. All right. So, brothers and sisters, we've gone over that. There's don't feel away if you don't understand the pronouns in Hebrew as of yet, because these lessons are online. And so therefore you can always go back and check it out. Okay. So now in this particular regard right here, in Hebrew, the verb can be before the pronoun or after. So let's take this verb here, bishel, which means to cook. All right. Bishel in root literally means he cooked. But you can say who bishel, which means he cooked, or bishel who, which means he cooked. All right. So this is something we want to point out in that regard when I'm saying that the verb can be before or after the particular pronoun. All right. In Hebrew, the verb is known in context of past, present, or future. Now, what we're going to be dealing with in this particular regard with the word verb asah, as you see in the title of the video, right? We're going to be only really dealing with it in the past tense for the moment. Okay? So with this, I'm asking the people, get your pens, get your pads, and so forth, because what we're going to show is how Hebrew is patternized. Once you understand the aspect of how that pattern goes, it becomes much more easier. Okay, so let's go on for edification purposes. Now, when I wrote here blank on purpose, brothers and sisters, there's a reason for that. And we're going to see why I'm saying get your pens and your pads, because we're going to go back to this particular slide and we're going to have an exercise together in writing. All right, next slide. Now, any verb that ends in a hey is deemed a Lamed-Heh verb. Some common Lamed-Heh verbs are ra'ah, meaning to see, asah, meaning to do, chaya, meaning to live. How would this be said in the I saw or I lived if asa is asiti, meaning I did? Let me explain that question right there. Now, asa in root means to do. If you say I did, the Hebrew way of saying that is the word asiti. So if we can see that asiti, then how would you say I saw or I lived? I'm going to say it real quick. Ra-iti, ha-iti. See, once you understand as I'm stating the pattern of Hebrew, it becomes much more easier. Asa, ending in a hey. Now, I want to sit there, brothers and sisters, and highlight the particular hey letter here in this regard. All right? What I'm highlighting there is the letter hey. All right? It is deemed a Lamed-Heh verb. Its function is shown when conjugated in the past tense. Now, as we went over earlier, there is, brothers and sisters, no aspect of what they call irregular verbs in Hebrew. All right, so that's something we want to point out in that particular regard. Now, let's go on. The hey drops off. Thus, asa in root, meaning to do, becomes act. The hey becomes a yod. You see the hey there? When you conjugate this in the past tense, that's how it's shown in what some call its irregularity, which we just say it is what it is. But this hey, brothers and sisters, that you see highlighted, when you say in root asa meaning to do, and I did, this yod, brothers and sisters, comes in this place of the hey. All right? So asa, you don't see no hey in this particular regard. Asiti, That's how that works in that regard. The hey becomes a yod. Only in the third person, masculine and feminine, singular and plural, we don't see the yod. Let's show what we are talking about. Now, the third person masculine singular is he, whatever. The third person feminine singular is she, whatever. And now the plural of it is they, whatever. They saw, they did, they lived. All right. So this is something, brothers and sisters, we want to go over for edification purposes. Before we continue, all right, are there any questions concerning this so far? All right. Any questions concerning this, brothers and sisters? All right. Somebody typed in no. Okay. Now, for those who are going to be hearing this later, right, what I'm going to ask is if there's any questions, you can put it inside the comment board. When I post up the videos, I don't have it to where comments are banned from the video. All right. So once it's uploaded, you can sit there and if you have a question, you can ask in that. Because I check the videos to see if there's any questions. Maybe about once or twice a day, tops or so. All right. So I want that to be noted for edification purposes. Okay, it says this. The hey becomes a yod only in the third person masculine and feminine singular and plural. We don't see the yod. Let's show what we are talking about. Okay. The blue is the masculine / feminine singular and plural. Asiti, I did. Asita, you did when speaking to a male. Asit, you did when speaking to a female. Asa, he did. Asta, she did. So I want brothers and sisters, okay, to go over this particular aspect with the pen. All right? Now I left it like that so we can go over this together. Hopefully for those who are interested, you can get your pen and paper concerning this matter. He, and this one is she. Okay? So now you have he, what did, and she did. Then we have asinu, asitem, asiten, and asu, which means they did. All right. So now when we go back here, brothers and sisters, and we see only in the third person, masculine and feminine, singular. The first part we read only in the third person, masculine and feminine, singular. What are we talking about? Masculine singular, brothers and sisters. All right, is this part here? Masculine. He is a masculine. She is a feminine. So this is the third person. I am the first person. You are the second person. He or she is the third person. That's why if you look at it, if I were to say More Yeshaya, he went to the store, I'm speaking of myself in the third person. So when we use the aspect of he and she and they, you're speaking in the third person. So he and she, this is the masculine, all right, aspect of that. And this is the feminine aspect of that. Then you have they, which is the plural of it. Now they can be asu, which is masculine, plural, feminine plural. So if it were three females that we was talking about, and I said asu hadabar, which means they did the thing, I'm still only talking about all females, or males, or a mixture of males and females. There is no masculine or feminine set aside for that, like you see he and she. So that's what I want to point out in that particular regard. Are there any questions with this particular part so far? All right. I have a question. Can anybody tell me what's going on with this lesson? And what I mean by that is somebody was sitting next to you and they said, "What is this guy talking about?" What would you tell them? To the people who are currently listening to this particular presentation, if somebody were to be sitting next to you and ask you, "What is this guy on the internet talking about?" What would you tell him or her? That's my question to the people in the audience. Okay, let's go on, brothers and sisters. She did indeed. Okay, parts of speech in Hebrew. Thank you. Now, you see this here, and I want to put this with the laser pointer. Asta. You have the ayin with the kwamats. You have the scene with the Schwa. So this may even take us back to like lesson number 4 as far as reading is concerned. Because what we want to point out, and we want to highlight something, all right? I see I'm gonna have to highlight that. And hopefully that will no, that's blue on blue. That ain't gonna work. What was I thinking? Highlighter for this good one. Let's try red. That ain't gonna work because that's dark on dark. Oh, what was I thinking? Alrighty, so we're gonna go with the pen. And I want to circle this thing here. All right. You see that vowel right there, that circle? This is one of the most important vowels of the Hebrew alphabet. All right. Okay, somebody recommended yellow. Let's try that one. So I'm gonna highlight that. And we want to try the yellow. Okay. Making it kind of greenish. But let's go on in that particular regard. Thank you for that. I still want to keep that circled, right? Now, this right here, brothers and sisters, is one of the most important vowels in the Hebrew alphabet. Now, I want to sit there, brothers and sisters, right? This is called the Schwa. All right. And what it does, as we went over in lesson number 4, as well as in lesson number 6 on this channel, it joins you to whatever the sound is beforehand. All right. And then you just continue reading. So you have as, ta, as, ta. Now, this, as we read right there, is Schwa. So now you will never see a Schwa with the first and the second letter of any Hebrew word. You might see it with the first and the third. You might see it with the second and the third, but not in this particular word. But you will never in any Hebrew word see a Schwa with the first and the second letter. So that's something we want to point out in that particular regard. Okay? So now, the word asta, okay, as we've gone over before, means she did. All right, that's what the word asta means in that particular regard. Asta me uma toba, she did a good thing. Asta kipa, she made a hat. You understand? So she did and she has done is the same exact thing in Hebrew. Okay, now let's also go over something else that's very important. And I'm going to use the pin aspect, but I'm going to use it in, let's try green or this color here, following along, right? You see, brothers and sisters, that's called the qamats. Now that, brothers and sisters, is followed by the letter Hey. So when you have the qamats followed by Hey, right? It sits there and shows it to be a feminine. Fem stands for feminine. All right. In Hebrew, as my teacher stated, may he rest in peace, that Hebrew is the language of gender. And what we're dealing with in these particular lessons is going over meticulously how to, as we say, the matter of the Lamed-Heh Verb Asah, and how do you identify what a verb is and be able to expound upon it from that particular aspect. This is very, very important. And brothers and sisters, this is college level Hebrew. Get a college Hebrew book called a book like this, Higher Sold. That's a college book. It means the foundation. Your sold means foundation. So high sold means the foundation. What I'm gonna do right now, and it's not to toot my own horn, right? I'm going to sit there and just look up the high sold book on Amazon. And let's see what it says concerning this particular regard. All right. High sold, spelt as that. You might, yeah, spelled just as that. High sold, fundamentals of Hebrew. And let's see what this tells you. $22.38. $30.59. Brothers and sisters, and it's not to play salesman. My book is only $10 online. And I'm telling you, the kind of lessons that book, the high sold, which is a college Hebrew book, gets into, is what you're getting online for this price here. Can anybody translate what that word says? You know? What do you mean you should have been a wrench? You lost me on that one. All right. The word chinam, brothers and sisters, means for free. These lessons you're getting are for free. Whereas in college, you will sit there and be paying a pretty good for the book and the class. Because see, unless you got a Pell Grant, which is also somebody else's money, some way, shape, form, or fashion, you're paying for the college, class, and the book itself. And on this channel, we have it for free of charge. All right. You know what? To be quite candid, I get what you're saying with that. As far as the moderator, you know what? We're going to do that in this particular one for the Hebrew class. All right. Yeah. And I'm not trying to take nothing away from the actual lesson. Right. But that sister Mika, she has been part of the Hebrew class for over a year. You understand? And the transition of the class from when I was inside of a camp and not now being inside of a camp and what happened and so forth and so on. So in that particular regard, I definitely understand what the sister was saying with that. But it just threw me off guard as a woman, you know, when you said you should have been a wrench, because that's not the nicest term for a woman. But I get what you're saying right now. Akoti, my sister. All right. So this is something once it comes down to that. So are you able to see about the whole moderator thing? And I know wrench and went is different. Okay. So, but all right. So that's what that is with that. And now let's go on in this particular regard. Okay. Now, as ta. As ta. Now, let's go over this particular aspect here. All right. Now, let's look at this right here, brothers and sisters. Okay. We have, and I want to show this again, the Quamats and the Hey. Now, I know I just erased it and I'm rewriting it for the class. And that FEM stands for female or feminine. So now when we look at this here with the Schwa, okay, I want to erase this and explain that one more time. All right. Now, when you have brothers and sisters, the Schwa particular aspect, all right? So let's go on in this particular case. You have the Schwa with that. You join that with what preceded it, okay? And so now when you're doing that, I am making, for the lack of a better term, a mute letter, all right? The ah sound with that, Schwa, you get the word so far pronounced as as. Then here you have the tau with the quamats, followed by hey. That union that you see right here, brothers and sisters, shows it to be of the feminine aspect. Ta. So you have as, ta, all right, in that particular regard. So together, it says asta. Now I got to erase that part right here. I got to rewrite that one. Sorry. Asta, which means what? She did. All right. So this is something we want to point out in that particular regard. Now let's look at this and continue on for edification purposes. You have she did indeed. Ma ase. All right. Ah. All right. Let's stop playing games. Let's get real. All right. Come on. So now when we're looking at this right here, you have ma. Then you have ma ase. Ma ase, which means this word here, deed. All right. So this is something that we want to go over for edification purposes. Okay. So now, brothers and sisters, ma'aseh means deed. Okay. Now, why did I sit there and write this word again, brothers and sisters, and have the mem in that same particular word color coded in the yellow? Because, brothers and sisters, and I want this to be followed along by those who are able to do so. The ayin, the sin, and the hey, right? Asah, but when you have the zere, it's aseh. So now, what are we dealing with? The word asah in root, brothers and sisters, means to do or to make. All right, that's what that means. That means to do or to make. So now, when you put this, brothers and sisters, here, this mem, all right, if you are not familiar with the letter mem, you can go back to lesson number 3 on this, all right? This serves, brothers and sisters, as a prefix, okay? Thought if I write with my left hand, that'll be better, but it ain't work. All right. So when you're looking at this here, this mem, P R E F I X. Prefix. That mem, brothers and sisters, is a prefix. Now, if you were to drop off that prefix, you got the ayin, the sin, and the hey. Now let's look back over here, brothers and sisters, right? We have the ayin, the sin, and the hey. The ayin, the sin, and the hey. As we see right here, all right, that you see and being circled on the right-hand side of the PowerPoint there. So now, the ayin, the sin, and the hey, brothers and sisters, in this particular regard, is the root of it. So this prefix is with the letter mem. Now, as we've been pointing out for some time, brothers and sisters, right? The mem serving as a prefix, right? I'm going to show this with the laser point. This mem serving as a prefix changes this verb, which means to do or to make, into a noun. It changes it from a verb to a noun. All right, for edification purposes. All right. So now you have the word here, not really color coded, but just the word ma'aseh. You see this word in the book of Isaiah, chapter 5 in the Bible, right? So you have ma'aseh, which means the word deed. Deed. That's the actual noun, a thing, a deed or an action or a work. That's what the word ma'aseh means. All right. So, brothers and sisters, the word ma'aseh, given a Dorayahu Ben Dora, shalom, my brother. All right. So the word ma'aseh, brothers and sisters, means deed or act or action. That is the actual noun. Brothers and sisters, as we've been pointing out, as you can see right there, when you put this, and I want to make this color coded to where it will certainly stand out. When you put this mem right there in front of the verb, it changes the verb from being a verb to being a noun. And that happens in many, many cases, brothers and sisters. So if there's any questions concerning what we've gone over, please sit there and feel free at this time to ask. Any questions, comments concerning what we've gone over so far? Questions, comments concerning what we've gone over so far? Okay, now let's go back here and then close out. Remember when I said this was left blank on purpose? Yeah, there was a reason for that. So what we're going to do is look at this pen part right here. And we're going to write this particular word here. That's why I was asking people to make sure if they're able to have their pens and papers and so forth. All right. And when I made the PowerPoint, I made sure I had it to where I was saying left blank on purpose because I intended to go over some kind of writing session concerning this kind of moment. All right, so let's go on. Asah. Now let's look at this right here. You got the ayin, the sin, and the hey, right? The word asah in root, I want to emphasize when I say in root, because there is, brothers and sisters, in root meaning, and then there is literal meaning. Now, the literal meaning, brothers and sisters, of the word asah means to do or to make. All right. So we're going to sit there and deal with this, brothers and sisters, in this particular regard, right? We have asa, which means to do or to make. Now, the literal meaning is he did. That's the literal meaning. All right. He did. Then you have, brothers and sisters, the en route meaning, which is, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to color code this. I'm going to make this green. All right. To do. Now, here in the green, all right, pay attention verbally, means that's the root meaning of it, to whatever, because it's an action. All verbs is an action word in most cases, because you got action and linking verbs. But in this case, we're talking about action verbs, all right? Asa, to do or to make. Then you have the word asa, meaning he did. Now, this is the literal, he did. And then you have, as stated, brothers and sisters, I want to use this with the highlighter part or the laser point. The green part there is, and I want to emphasize verbally one more time, all right, the root meaning. He did is the actual literal meaning. Are there any questions concerning that particular aspect? Any questions concerning that particular aspect that we're talking about? When it gets into the aspect of the en route meaning and the literal meaning? All right, any questions so far with that? No. All right, so what we're going to do, okay, Asa, to do, and he did. So as been pointing out in the other lessons, the things that are stated and the things that are written are just as important. All right. So if you didn't see it written, but you heard it, or if you didn't hear it, but saw it written, they both hold the same amount of weight. as far as importance with that. Okay, so let's go on into this particular regard. And there's going to be another Hebrew class, and we want to try to do that over the weekend. All right, I'll definitely have to ask the people to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell thing so you can get the notification of when we're going to start. Now, I know this page that you see there with the background in the blue looks pretty like wow, but yeah, if you've been following the lesson, you'll see exactly where we was going in that particular regard. Now, the book that you see right here is available on Amazon as well as Lulu.com. All right. So hopefully this was understood. All right. If there's any questions or comments when this is uploaded, please feel free, brothers and sisters, to sit there and leave a comment in, and it will be addressed, providing it's in regard to this particular lesson. All right. So, shalom to the brothers and sisters and elders who are hearing and or will hear this. Most High bless and keep you. Shalom. Thank you to the people who offered their assistance.